a huge way to live it out is by having genuine conversations with people, right? A lot of times when we see people in person at church, we would have the casual, how you doing? And of course, the answer is, good, right? And, maybe it's because we're busy, maybe because we just kind of took those opportunities for granted. But I think this time of COVID, where I think for a lot of us, things have slowed down. And I think, it gives us that opportunity to have those more in-depth conversations, to really ask someone how they're doing, to ask how you can serve them, how you can bless their family. And, hopefully this whole experience has shown everyone we're all vulnerable, right? And it's, we can be willing to share those struggles, share those weaknesses, ask for help if needed. And that in turn opens up opportunities for the church to serve one another and love one another and meet those needs. And so I think I'd encourage people to ask, reach out to somebody, ask how they're doing. Don't just take that superficial answer, but really, in a loving way, let them know that you really want to know how they're doing and how can you bless them, how can you care for them, how can you love them. And, hopefully, the other person, we can all respond in humility, right? By being honest and allow ourselves to be blessed, by others in the church. And then hopefully we can in turn, if we've been blessed, we also can bless others, right? But creating this culture of really caring for one another in that way, by discovering needs and meeting them and encouraging people by meeting those needs.
There's people in our church who have lost family members, like close family members. So I appreciate that the church has not been cavalier about the pandemic. You don't really hear too many people saying it's not a big deal or this and that. Just being very thoughtful, mindful. Because I don't even think a lot of people know who it is. But there's been people, just who have lost loved ones, and to take that maybe a seriousness. And so I appreciate that people aren't treating what's going on with a cavalier attitude. So I think that's one small thing. I think I've been thinking a lot about those people who either joined us, like they joined us and then the pandemic hit. So they were like 2 Sundays into it, and then all of a sudden we don't see each other, or they've even joined us since the pandemic started. And like my heart's heavy for them, because I want them so much to appreciate what we're about as a church, and to build friendships and to be able to see, and just for me just to meet them in person, things like that. And so especially if those people are part of your small groups, just to really make the extra effort to enfold them and let them be a part of this community, I think is one really important thing to do, just so they can experience as much as possible what it means that we're a church family. So I think for that, I think beyond that, there's definitely people who technology, not necessarily they don't like to use, or they can't use technology, but they just don't prefer it, and so I think it's easier for them to, kind of fade into the background a little bit more, whereas on a Sunday, I would always see them. I just recently, was emailing someone, she said, hey, say hi to your mother, because she's probably not going to text me or anything like that, but she comes to church, and I would have seen her, every few Sundays at least, and said hi or something. And so just to miss her and stuff. And so I think those people, who they're not on every Zoom call, they're not probably in these big meetings or things like that, just to make sure that we're reaching out to them and calling them or doing whatever we take to keep them kind of as part of the group.
I think about the ways that I've been blessed. People have come to our house and they'll call up just even shortly before and say, hey, we're going to bring this, or can we bring this? Can we bring lunch or something like that? And it's amazing what, being on your front porch and them being down the sidewalk and just talking for a few minutes does for your soul, right? Just seeing others and being able to connect. And so I think those times have been really precious, even, I've made some deliveries and just seeing people and talking to people. And I get a sense, even from the kids, like they're just so excited to see you, even from a distance. And so I think that's one that I can think of, is just be safe, but, still try to connect with people. I think, Zoom is a thing, and it's not always, I think, easy for people to kind of keep that up. I think, like Kim mentioned, there's a kind of fatigue to it, but, really seeing how it can be a means of you loving someone else, by being on Zoom. And so I think those things have been great. Even like Dawn Walker, she's written us handwritten letters and sent them to us, to our family. The Bridge Ministry, they email us regularly, checking in, see how we're doing. When it was Piper's birthday, sending her a card, things like that. I think it's a lot of little thoughtful things that we can be doing for our church family, just to stay connected and to let them know we're thinking of them, praying for them. Texting, I think texting is the greatest thing. Like, you could just get so much done, right? You could just, how can I be praying for you? And instant, you're connected and you've cut to the heart of everything so fast, right? And so I think that's been a blessing. Even with my accountability guys, there's been times where they just say, hey, pray for me, or how can I pray for you, and vice versa. And that's been awesome, just to have that ability just to pray for people. And we'll text each other verses or quotes from pastors or, things like that, and been a grace in our lives, So yeah, I think it's a bunch of little things. I don't know that it's always just big grandiose gestures, but it's a lot of little things that kind of add up over time.
Some of the best servants in our church, even pre-COVID, didn't have titles. They weren't like ministry heads or whatnot. They were the folks who were just loving people every day, reaching out, meeting practical needs, praying, all the stuff that no one sees. But I think that's the kind of servant that I think God's going to reward hugely in the end. They're going to be first in line. And I think those are the kind of things we can definitely continue even now during this COVID season, is just reaching out to people, phone call, text, whatever, and just seeing how people are doing. How can I pray for you? I mean, that's so meaningful, It doesn't happen enough, I don't think. And then, when there's little practical needs, bringing meals or doing some shopping or whatever, wherever people are in terms of their need. I think just that involvement in people's lives, because that will lead to knowing how to love people, right? If you're involved and you know what's going on, then the next steps will come naturally, right? Can we stay plugged in? We can't be just a church family that just meets on Sunday and expect all this love and ministry to happen, this involvement, the one another's. It's not going to happen in that 2-hour Sunday morning block, And in fact, this is kind of a good test for our church. Can we continue to practice the one another's without having to meet on Sundays? And we ought to be, I hope for that. Involvement and intentionality in conversations goes a long way, moving beyond that small talk and really just, hey, what's going on? How can I pray for you? And I appreciate there's a few brothers I can think of right away in our church. Every time I talk to them, that's the first question is, how can I pray for you? And it's like, let's just jump to it, how can I love that, and they remember the next time too. It's like, yeah, I've been praying for this for you, how's that been going? And that speaks volumes to their love and care, and I learned so much from that. So I hope that we can all have those type of interactions and conversations and relationships.
Just want to thank the congregation for just the support and encouragement you've given to the elders over the years. It really is a joy to be an elder at Lighthouse, and the love and encouragement that we receive from the congregation is something to truly be thankful for. I know it's a challenging time for all of us, and we want to get together again soon, and God willing, we will. When it's safe to do so. But I definitely miss seeing everyone at church, and I look forward to that day when we'll be able to gather again. In the meantime, we just ask you to continue to pray for us, for the elders, for wisdom, for humility, and for God's guidance, that we might hear him clearly and be faithful to it.